Hello, I'm Steady, and I'd like to welcome you to the very first Manga Lounge series. If this is your first time with us, allow me to extend a personal invitation for you to get out your Shonen Jump app and an ice-cold beverage of your choice and read along with us each week. And if you've been with us before, please allow me to thank you for inviting us back for another series of manga shows. Domo, what is up everybody? This is official JUJUTSU KAISEN translator Steady here, always at the ready here for you guys. Welcome back. We are here for another Manga Lounge, JUJUTSU KAISEN edition. Last week I decided to kind of take last week and this week's chapter 91 and chapter 92 into one video here because mainly because there's just a lot of kind of explaining kind of going on and not much quote-unquote action, but it is obviously setting up for a bigger fight that's really on the brink, obviously. But so if you were kind of person that was looking forward to the coverage last week, I apologize, but thank you for your patience. But we're here today, and of course I want Manga Lounge to be kind of a discussion for JUJUTSU KAISEN back and forth. I want to hear what you guys think about the chapters recently, what you think is going on, what you think is going to happen. Let your voice be heard in the comments. I know for chapter 90 I really got a lot of cool comments in there, people with their opinions on what's going on, and hopefully we can get a little bit of the same going for chapters 91 and 92, because there is a lot to cover. So just to kind of outline what we're going to be going over for chapter 91, we're going to talk about kind of Mekamaru's presence. We're going to be talking about Gojo and the prison realm seal, and kind of the new reveal about Geto as well. Obviously we had the reveal that Geto is kind of a fake Geto right now, but there's also another kind of revelation that happened, and then we're going to be talking about the kind of the new curse users that appear as well. But then chapter 92, we're going to be talking about Ijichi, what's going on with him, assistant manager Ijichi. We're going to be talking about the new strategy that the sorcerers have, kind of attacking from the different stations. And I'll definitely have a map to kind of supplement that a little bit. Kind of Yuji's newfound strength. We'll be talking about kind of what the fate of Japan, what the fate of the country is going to be now, and the possible kind of calamity that might happen. And kind of the change of plans on behalf of the of Mahito, Jogo, and the special grade curses. But yeah, I invite you to grab your app, read along. I'm just going to kind of be going through the app here on Shonen Jump as well for JUJUTSU KAISEN, and just kind of get a little bit of a dialogue going and definitely see if there's some things in there that maybe you missed. And if I missed anything, of course, feel free to let me know, or if you have any questions, let me know as well. But let's get into it. Chapter 91. So we obviously were left with that cliffhanger in chapter 90 about Mekamaru, and is he alive? But my assumption was that he probably wasn't, and it seems to be the case. He mentions that he is indeed dead, was killed by Mahito, but obviously we know Muta is very strong with his cursed energy because of his heavenly restrictions, so he's figured out some sort of way to manipulate it in a way where even though he's dead, he's able to kind of have the remnants of that cursed energy endowed into these little discs, kind of like surveillance discs and communication discs. Of course, this is very typical kind of Akutami. They're not going to explain exactly what it's going on. Maybe they will talk about a little bit later on in a few chapters about what these discs exactly are. But for right now, we have to just kind of overlook the fact, he's dead. How the hell is he doing this? But, that's just how it is. Then it looks like Gojo, what we feared, He is indeed sealed, but not before kind of spurring on Suguru Geto, the real one. And this is such a cool scene because for those of you that have a good attention to detail, obviously this whole kind of going for the neck thing is very reminiscent of the first chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen, where Yuji, when he gets possessed by Sukuna, he goes for the throat as well. So that I really like that throwback, and I'm pretty sure it was intentional as well. But this is a huge revelation, kind of making it sound as though that maybe Geto is still going to be around, which is what I talked about in my theories video about who the identity of this Geto is. If you haven't checked that out, definitely do. Have a lot of insight on there as well. Just to give you a little preview, I think it's actually Kamo, and you'll have to watch the video to see what I mean. But it looks like Geto may or may not be able to make a comeback, and hopefully for the good guys, we'll see. This kind of fake Geto makes the point to Mahito, like, hey, you thought that the soul comes before the body, but actually this fake Geto's reasoning is that the body and the soul are one, and they can't really exist one without the other. So interesting kind of philosophy going on here. But then obviously Gojo is sealed away. We kind of knew that a lot of us thought that it was going to happen, and indeed it did. But next we have the kind of the reveal that there's these new curse users coming in, because Mekamaru explains that, hey, there's this curtain that's actually blocking you guys from getting to Gojo. So they have to figure out a way to get that curtain down. But once they do, it's going to be a question of kind of going in from the multiple stations near next door, right? But I'll touch on that more in chapter 92. But it's interesting because this curse user on page 14, I think we're supposed to assume that the one on the right is the curse user, and then this kind of more, I don't know what you would call a dog looking thing on the left is a curse that he's manipulating. It looks like he's even got it chained up, if you look closely, that he's kind of controlling and manipulating. And the curse user, I think the thing on the top is even a curse as well. So it'll be interesting to see how that works. So I think he's human, the one on the right, but the other two things, one on his head and the dog looking thing, are curses. But he's specifically looking for Mei, which is kind of an interesting point, because Mei definitely kind of has been, she just follows the money, right? For her, money talks. Although I think that she has a certain sense of righteousness as well, but we never really know what her motives are. So I'm not really too sure what to make of the fact that they're looking for Mei specifically, but maybe they're trying to recruit her onto their side. Obviously, she has a very strong ability in terms of her surveillance, and we're not even too sure what her combat skills are as well, but she's obviously pretty strong. And looks like we'll get to see what Uyui is all about as well, the younger brother. But then now it looks like then we move back on to Geto. It looks like Choso and Jogo are kind of coming out of their fog. Remember, they were caught in the unlimited void as well. But then boom, the prison realm. Now this is kind of an interesting revelation, because obviously we know for Gojo, like, the way that time works for him is a little bit different, and he does manipulate, kind of not manipulate time, but he kind of more manipulates space. But he makes this point about the fact that it looks like time doesn't really pass in here in normal circumstances. So this is kind of, although we're not really too sure what that means, right? But it's a very interesting point. And in the next chapter, they kind of explain the fact that, oh, well, Prison Realm doesn't really know how to process, Satoru Gojo as an entity. It's like, what is this thing? What do we have in here? So it's a very interesting concept. But it looks like Gojo is he has faith in his allies, and he's not too worried about it, which is classic Gojo. Never on the defensive. He's always just goes with the times. He's always kind of on the cool. But yeah, let's move straight on into chapter 92, shall we? All right, so chapter 92 kind of starts out with the leaders of the three groups kind of talking over, saying, hey, we need to start making a move here. We can't be on the defensive this whole time. They kind of recognize that things are just kind of going chaotic now, and they can't just be waiting around for things to happen. So I like to see that they finally are like, okay, let's do this. Let's get in there. So I love this scene with the three groups enter the battle at the same time. But then immediately after, we're kind of shown Ijichi trying to make contact with the other managers and trying to link up with everyone. But he gets stabbed from behind. Oh, the crazy curse user. We saw this person at the very end of the Goodwill arc. They were there. They didn't really do too much, but they were there. They kind of intercepted. Remember the old guitar man Gakuganji, Kyoto principal, as well as I forget who else was there. Someone else was there as well. But yeah, looks like they're back, and more interestingly, so looks like the white-haired monk is back too. Remember, we only very briefly saw the white-haired monk at the beach domain, which we assumed to be kind of the Squid One's domain. But they didn't even say anything, or they were just kind of referred to as a kind of like non-binary, I guess, that they don't know whether it's a girl or a guy or what. So it'll be a very interesting character to see what's going on here. But then we see now that Prison Realm can't be moved. That kind of throws a wrench in the plans of the special grade curses and Fate Geto here. And that intel was leaked, right, by Mekamaru to Yuji. And then so this is where we kind of get that map. If you've been kind of with my channel and just kind of seeing my coverage, I have a map of where the I'll have it right here, but I have a map of where the different teams are set right now. And based on the map that Mekamaru here has on page 9, Omotesando Station would most likely be this would be Megumi's group, the Nanami group. And now that Yuji is with them, Yuji and Nanami group, as well as Megumi, Meiji Jingu Mai would be Meimei and Uyui that are down there in the southwest. At the Ikejiri Ohashi Station would be Nobara's group with Maki, as well as Zenin Naobito, which I'm totally psyched to see what Naobito's all about. Remember, he's considered a supreme grade 1 sorcerer, so he's very close to being special grade. It's kind of, we don't really know what the difference is between special grade and supreme grade 1, or how you become special grade versus not, but he's obviously very powerful. And then in the southeast, that's where Panda, as well as the Tokyo second year teacher Kusakabe is going to be. And remember, Kusakabe is someone very intriguing as well, because Meimei makes a remark to Yuji saying, hey, you might be one of the most powerful sorcerers that doesn't really have a curse technique next to Kusakabe. So Kusakabe, we know he's kind of in that same pool as like Maki and Yuji and stuff, in the fact that they don't really have a curse technique, or what we can assume anyways. But yeah, so I love this. I love this kind of spread where Yuji's just running through the city. He goes into the curtain, and then as soon as he gets in there, he has those eyes, just that face, that look like 1, 2, 3, 4. And remember, he had that hesitation when he was fighting with Nanami against Mahito with the transfigured humans. Now he's like no hesitation. He's really grown as a character, and you'd love to see this kind of stuff. But he recognizes them, and it's boom, 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 boom. And he even sees that big one, that like grotesque curse come out. Did you call me? But then he just gives it a nice kick to the jaw, and then right up the tower. Nanami. And I love this where Nanami is just like so embarrassed. And then of course Akutami, genius with the comedy, never misses a chance to put in a little bit of humor here and there. You need to have it to just kind of give yourself a little bit of a breather. But they're like, is that Itadori? And what does a Nana mean? But now that we know, Yuji kind of spreads the word that Geto was sealed. But if you look very closely here, this is another thing that you might have missed. It shows that Kusakabe and Panda hear it, but it doesn't specifically show Nobara's group, which doesn't necessarily mean they didn't hear it either. But the fact that they aren't shown there hearing Yuji's scream could possibly mean that they aren't aware that Gojo was sealed as well. So it could be interesting. But Nanami kind of is like, okay, change of plans. This is bad news bears. He has this little panel, says it's all over for all humans in this country. Which, I mean, yeah, if you think about it, Gojo, like I've talked about this on my podcast before, Positive Juju podcast. If you're a podcast fan and a Jujutsu Kaisen fan, by the way, definitely check it out. It's the only one of its kind. But anyways, I've talked about the fact that Gojo is definitely the kind of the power balance, right? He's the thing that keeps the power balance in the favor of the sorcerers, the Jujutsu sorcerers. He's kind of their safety net, and obviously that's very interesting, that's very like powerful for the sorcerers, but it would also make for a very interesting twist if that kind of power balance, that safety net that is Gojo Satoru, is taken away, which it looks like that's what we're leading to. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see how that plays out in terms of the battles. Now we have the curses versus the sorcerers, and now that Gojo is kind of out of play, we're on equal footing here, and they kind of talk about that a little bit as well, right? But I love this where Mahito is like, you know what? Fuck it. I want to kill Yuji as well. And it's, which is obviously goes kind of against what Geto had first mentioned in the cafe scene, right? He was like, okay, there's two things we need to do to win this thing. Is we need to get Gojo out of the way, which they did, and we need to get Sukuna revived and on our side. But now that it looks like it's kind of a change of plans. I wouldn't necessarily say that this is kind of rift in the Curses group, but at the same time, it's going to be kind of interesting to see. People have their own motives, right? Mahito is very he runs on his own desires. Jogo's actually a little bit more level-headed here in what's best for the Curses. He really just wants a world where there's Curses are the main humans, right? So it'll be interesting to see how this kind of thing works out. But that's the end of chapter 92. I have a feeling there's going to be a little bit more explanations, maybe chapter 93, 94, but hopefully we'll be getting into the fight soon, and it's really gearing up to be something special. I know just reading this week to week, obviously, it's like another explainer chapter, but you gotta remember this is just a few chapters, and we're going to be getting into big battles soon. Obviously, chapter 100 is moving in close, and I'm sure Akutami Sensei obviously is aware of this, and they're going to be you better best believe that they're going to be having a big battle going on at that time. So, but of course, let me know what you guys think. If you have any questions or you think anything worth noting that I left out, and if I can address it, I will. But otherwise, yeah, I want to say thanks. If you're a fan of Jujutsu Kaisen and you want more, I have a lot of other content on my YouTube channel as well, and the podcast that I mentioned, for example, and I have manga reviews, and I'll have volume 8 and 9 volume review, Japanese volume review coming in soon. But yeah, sorry, I forgot to introduce my friends here, Yuji and Gojo. But we want to say thanks for watching, and thanks for spreading the word, spreading that positive juju. And we will see you in the next video, I guess. All right, well, with that, you know how we do. Mata yoroshiku.